Hi everybody, I'm back with another recipe for you, and this is going to be quite a bit easier than the last loaf of bread that I showed you because it's not a loaf at all. This is a recipe that I adapted from what Weight Watchers calls 2-ingredient bagels. Now I'm going to have quite a few more than 2 ingredients, but it's kind of the same process. For those of you who know me, you know that at one point in my life I was about 100 pounds heavier than I am right now. And this is one of the things that when I was on that Weight Watchers journey, and Weight Watchers has not endorsed or paid me anything to do this, but I do talk about it quite a bit. This is one of the ways that I satisfied my craving for bread and was able to stay on the program. It's an easy thing to do. You can knock this out in about 20 minutes. Let's get started. So here we go. We are going to start with 2 1/3 cups of self-rising flour. Now, self-rising flour has a couple of interesting properties. Mostly, they call it self-rising flour because it already has baking soda and baking powder included in the flour. So you normally, in a lot of recipes that call for self-rising flour, you wouldn't have to add any, but I'm going to add some anyway, just because it does help it rise up a little bit more. So I'm going to go for 2 1/3 cups of this. Right like that. And into that, I'll need that again in a minute, I am going to put a teaspoon each, a teaspoon each of baking soda, like that. Baking powder, it's almost empty. Good news is I've got another one in the pantry. And salt. So, those are all my dry ingredients. The wet ingredients are almost as easy. I have a cup of fat-free, plain Greek yogurt. I know you're saying, what, yogurt and biscuits? Well, yes, yogurt and biscuits, because it takes the place of the butter and the other dairy that might go into a biscuit. Gives it kind of an interesting flavor. Now, these won't be, if you're looking for biscuits that are like your grandmother's Southern Cat's Head biscuits that are flaky and puffy and such, this is not going to be that. This is a little bit more like an English muffin, but it's still quite good. Along with the self-rising flour, the baking powder, baking soda, and salt, and also the fat-free plain Greek yogurt, I've got a 1/3 cup of my buttermilk mix that I like so much. And we are going to stir this until it just comes together. Again, you're going to just incorporate those ingredients. Get everything together. It's going to be sticky when you go to work with it. Just get yourself prepared for that because it is going to be sticky. But that's about what that wants to look like. Like most things of this nature, you don't want to overwork it. You just want to get those ingredients incorporated. Now, we're going to set that over there for a moment. I have here English muffin rings. So you get these on Amazon, they're cheap, and they're easy to come by. And I'm just going to put a little non-stick spray on there. Underneath, that is parchment paper. And you can find parchment paper in pre-cut sheets that'll go right in your baking sheet. So that's always a good thing to have. Let's set that up there. And I'll get my board. And I'm going to throw a little bit more of the flour onto the board so that I can work with this. Just like that. And get it on my hands as well so it doesn't stick to my hands quite so much. And we're going to turn that out onto the board. Doesn't look like much yet, does it? Right like that. Get all of that together and work this just enough to get it to come together into kind of a log. This one's pretty soft. I may have gotten more liquid in that than I thought. But I think it'll be fine. What I want to do is get my hands floured up a little bit here again and bring over the rings. Okay, so let's get these, so maybe that won't stick quite as bad. And I'm just going to portion this out into balls and drop them into the rings. Try and get them as even as you can. Anybody who's ever made a drop biscuit, this will be familiar to you. This usually makes about 7. So we'll get all these in the rings, and then we'll just portion out whatever is left amongst the various. There we go. Get a little extra in some of these. Like that. That one needs a little more. That one needs a little more. So, that didn't go quite like it normally does. Normally I get it consistent enough that I can get it into a kind of a log and cut them with my pastry cutter, but that didn't happen this time. However, they will be fine. Okay, next order of business is to flatten those out a little bit. We'll just put a little cooking spray on that little spatula and get these a little bit closer into the muffin rings. And now we're going to take these. I have preheated my oven to 425 degrees. And we're just going to pop those in a hot oven like that and set a timer for 7 minutes. All right, 7 minutes is up. So we're going to take these and we're just going to turn them so they bake evenly. 180 degrees. Set the timer again, this time for 5 minutes. And now we wait. And there's my 5-minute timer. So let's give these a check and see how they look. I think those are just about perfect. Sometimes if they don't get quite as brown as I like in those 12 minutes, then I'll put them under the broiler for a few. But I believe that that's going to be about as good as it gets. Now the next thing that we need to do, obviously I've got my cooling rack out here. And again, these have just come out of a 425 degree oven, so let's not touch anything. But I'll just go ahead and move these muffin rings off. And then we'll just pick these up and put them on the cooling rack. And as we used to say in improv, and scene. So there you have it, really about 20 minutes from start to finish. And you get a really nice batch of homemade biscuits or muffins or whatever you want to call them, that are really going to be tasty, and you can use them for whatever. You can make Eggs Benedict out of them. I have them with a salad at lunchtime. There are just so many things that you can do with these. They're very versatile, and I think you're going to enjoy them a lot. Thanks again for watching. I hope you had a great time. I know I had a great time making the video for you, and I'll see you next time.